That night when LeBron James won the biggest victory in NBA history, nobody knew how close he actually came to losing everything. June 19, 2016, Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Oracle Arena in Oakland was dead silent as the final buzzer echoed through the rafters. Cleveland Cavaliers 93, Golden State Warriors 89. The King had done it. After 52 years, Cleveland was finally champions again. But when those arena lights dimmed and the confetti stopped falling, when the champagne celebration moved from the locker room to the team hotel, LeBron James received a text message that turned his greatest triumph into his worst nightmare. Everyone knows the story they tell. The King returned to Cleveland, did the impossible, ended the city's 52-year championship drought. But the real story? That started at 3:17 a.m. when LeBron's hands were shaking so bad he could barely hold his iPhone. 3 words on that screen that made his blood run cold. We know everything. But here's what nobody tells you about that message. The person who sent it was supposed to be dead for 16 years. LeBron James, 31 years old, 6'8", 250 pounds of pure athletic dominance, the most powerful man in the NBA. But that night, staring at those 3 words, he felt exactly like that scared 15-year-old kid from Akron's East Avenue. Projects all over again, because the number that text came from, it belonged to Marcus Williams. And Marcus Williams died in a car crash in November 2000. At least that's what everybody believed. That's what LeBron himself had believed for 16 years, until now. The Ritz-Carlton Cleveland was buzzing with celebration 3 floors below. His teammates were probably still popping bottles. His family was downstairs in the presidential suite, probably ordering room service and reliving every moment of that incredible Game 7 comeback. But LeBron, he was pacing back and forth in his penthouse suite, his championship ring sitting on the marble countertop, feeling heavier than any weight he'd ever lifted in the gym. His phone buzzed again, another message. This time it wasn't just words, it was a photograph. A photograph that LeBron James thought had been buried with Marcus Williams 16 years ago. A photograph that showed a 15-year-old kid standing in a blood-soaked apartment in Akron, Ohio, his eyes wide with terror, while a man with a smoking gun stood behind him. That kid was LeBron, that man was Marcus, and that photograph was about to destroy everything the King had built. Let me take you back to where this all began. Akron, Ohio, 1999. LeBron James was just another kid from the projects trying to make it out. His mother Gloria was working 3 jobs just to keep the lights on in their little apartment on Hickory Street. Some nights they didn't have heat, some nights they didn't have food, but they always had basketball. LeBron was already showing signs of greatness on the court. 6'2" as a freshman at St. Vincent St. Mary High School, dunking on seniors, making plays that had college scouts talking. But talent doesn't pay rent, talent doesn't put food on the table, and talent definitely doesn't buy the kind of gear that the rich kids from suburban Akron were sporting. That's when Marcus Williams entered their lives. Marcus was Gloria's boyfriend, 28 years old, smooth talker, always had money in his pocket and a story about where it came from. Construction work, he'd tell people, got a crew that works downtown Cleveland. But LeBron noticed things, like how Marcus never left for work in the morning, like how he got mysterious phone calls at all hours, like how his construction money always came in cash, always in neat stacks, always wrapped with rubber bands. But LeBron was 15, and Marcus treated him like the son he'd never had. Marcus bought LeBron his first pair of Air Jordans, real ones, not the knockoffs from Payless that he'd been wearing. Marcus showed up to every home game, cheering louder than anyone in the stands. Marcus taught him how to drive, took him to get his first haircut at a real barbershop, even bought him his first suit for the sports banquet. For 6 months, Marcus Williams was everything LeBron had ever wanted in a father figure, until that night in November 2000, the night that changed everything. Here's where the story takes a turn nobody saw coming. November 15, 2000. LeBron had basketball practice that ran late. Coach Drew Joyce had been working the team hard, preparing for their first big tournament of the season. Practice was supposed to end at 8 p.m., but they'd been scrimmaging and it went until almost 10. Marcus had given LeBron a key to his apartment months earlier. Mi casa es su casa, young king, he'd said. That apartment on South Main Street was like a second home to LeBron. It was where he'd go to do homework when their place was too loud. It was where Marcus kept the PlayStation and the big screen TV. It was where LeBron felt like he belonged. So when practice ended and LeBron realized he'd left his history textbook on Marcus's coffee table, he didn't think twice about using that key. The door was unlocked. That should have been his first clue. The lights were off, except for the glow coming from the kitchen. That should have been his second. But LeBron was 15 and tired and just wanted to grab his book and get home to finish his essay on the Civil War. So he walked through that door like he'd done dozens of times before. What he saw in that kitchen destroyed his innocence forever. 3 men on the floor, blood everywhere. Marcus standing over them with a .45 caliber pistol in his hand, his white t-shirt splattered red, his eyes wild with adrenaline and fear. And in the center of the kitchen table, plastic bags filled with white powder, more money than LeBron had ever seen in his life, and scales, professional drug dealer scales, LeBron. Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. You weren't supposed to be here. The smell hit him then. Gunpowder, blood, death. LeBron had never smelled anything like it, but somehow he knew exactly what it was. His knees almost gave out, his stomach lurched. He wanted to run, wanted to scream, wanted to wake up from what had to be the worst nightmare of his life. But it wasn't a nightmare, it was real. And Marcus Williams, the man who'd been like a father to him, was standing there with a smoking gun and 3 dead bodies at his feet. LeBron, listen to me very carefully, Marcus said, his voice steadier now. You were never here tonight. You understand me. You went straight home from practice. You never came here. You never saw any of this. But LeBron couldn't move, couldn't speak, could barely breathe. These men came here to rob me, Marcus continued, stepping over one of the bodies like it was a pile of laundry. They pulled guns first. It was self-defense, but the police won't see it that way, not with what's on that table. You understand? LeBron finally found his voice. Marcus, what is all this? What it looks like, young king. I deal drugs, have been for 10 years. All that money I've been spending on you, on your mum, it comes from this. And now these 3 idiots tried to rob me, and they're dead. The room was spinning. LeBron grabbed the doorframe to keep from falling. Everything he thought he knew about Marcus was a lie. Everything Marcus had given them was paid for with drug money. Every kindness, every gift, every moment of feeling like he had a father figure. It was all built on blood and poison. But here's the thing, LeBron, Marcus said, walking toward him. You're gonna be something special. I can see it. You're gonna be famous someday. Rich, powerful. And when that day comes, I'm gonna need you to remember who helped you get there. That's when LeBron understood. This wasn't just about witnessing a crime. This was about being owned. You haven't heard the most shocking part yet. The next morning, Marcus Williams was found dead in a car crash on Interstate 77. Single vehicle accident. Car went off the road, hit a tree, exploded into flames. Body burned beyond recognition. The only way they identified him was through dental records, or so the story went. But LeBron knew better, because the night before Marcus died, he'd made LeBron promise something that would haunt him for the next 16 years. I'm gonna disappear for a while, Marcus had told him after cleaning up the mess in that kitchen. But I'll be watching, and every month your mum's gonna get an envelope with cash in it. No return address. No questions asked. That money is gonna help you become the player you're destined to be. But in return, you never speak about what happened here tonight. Ever. And if I do, Marcus had smiled then, a cold, calculating smile that didn't reach his eyes. Then everybody finds out that LeBron James knew about a triple homicide and never reported it, that he took money that came from drug deals, that everything he achieved was built on blood money. The next day, Gloria James received her first envelope, $5,000 cash. No note, no explanation. She asked LeBron if he knew anything about it, and he lied to his mother's face for the first time in his life. No idea, Mom. Maybe somebody believes in me. For 16 years, those envelopes kept coming. Through high school when LeBron was becoming a national sensation. Through his senior year when he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Through the NBA draft when he was selected first overall by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Through his rookie season, his first MVP award, his decision to leave Cleveland for Miami, and even his return, every month, like clockwork, anonymous money that helped fund LeBron's rise to greatness. And every month, LeBron felt a little more trapped, a little more owned, a little more like that scared 15-year-old boy standing in a blood-soaked kitchen. But he told himself Marcus was dead. He convinced himself it was just money Marcus had left behind, being distributed by some lawyer or accountant. He made himself believe that his success was his own, earned through his talent and hard work, until Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals changed everything. Wait until you see what happened next. The second text came at 3:34 a.m., just as LeBron was starting to convince himself that the first one was some kind of sick joke, some internet troll who'd somehow gotten access to Marcus's old phone number. But this message made his blood turn to ice water. Remember that Jumpman outfit you wore to prom? The one I bought you. Still got the receipt. Shows where the money came from. Want me to send it to ESPN? LeBron's hands were shaking so violently he almost dropped his phone. Because nobody else could have known about that outfit. Nobody else could have known where Marcus got the money to buy it. LeBron had told everyone it was a graduation gift from his mum, but it wasn't. It was drug money, just like everything else. His phone rang. Unknown number, Ohio area code. LeBron stared at the screen for 10 rings before finally answering. Hello, young king. That voice, deep, gravelly, with just a hint of the streets of Akron. A voice LeBron hadn't heard in 16 years but would recognize anywhere. Marcus, it came out as barely a whisper, in the flesh. Well, technically over the phone, but you get the idea. You're supposed to be dead. Marcus laughed. Death is just another kind of disappearance, LeBron, and I've gotten very good at disappearing. Been watching you though. Been real proud. My investment paid off better than I ever imagined. Investment? You think I helped you out of the goodness of my heart? Nah, young king. I knew you were gonna be special. I knew that someday you'd be rich and famous and powerful, and I knew that when that day came you'd owe me. the penthouse suite suddenly felt like a prison cell. LeBron walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown Cleveland, the city he'd just brought a championship to, and felt like he was looking at the bars of his cage. "What do you want, Marcus?" "Well, that's a loaded question. Short term, I want $5 million, cash, tomorrow. Long term, I want a percentage of everything you make for the rest of your career. Think of me as your silent partner. And if I refuse, then tomorrow morning, every major news outlet in America gets a very interesting package. Photos of you at that crime scene, copies of every money transfer I made to your mother, bank records showing where that money came from, a detailed confession of how the great LeBron James built his career on drug money and covered up a triple homicide." LeBron closed his eyes. 16 years of greatness, 16 years of being a role model for kids around the world, 16 years of building a legacy, all of it about to crumble because of one night when he was 15 years old. How do I know you won't just keep asking for more? You don't, but what choice do you have? Now you're about to see how deep this really goes. LeBron spent the rest of that night walking around his penthouse suite like a caged animal. His championship ring sat on the counter, catching the light from the city below, but it might as well have been made of fool's gold. How could he celebrate the greatest achievement of his career when it was about to be destroyed by the worst moment of his past? At 6 a.m. his phone buzzed again. This time it was a photo, a picture of his mother Gloria arriving at the Cleveland airport for the championship celebration. She was smiling, wearing a Cavaliers jersey with his number on it, carrying a sign that said, "That's my son." The message underneath made his stomach drop. "Beautiful family you got there, King. Be a shame if they got hurt because you made the wrong choice." That's when LeBron realized this wasn't just about money. This wasn't just about his career. Marcus was threatening his family. He called his security detail immediately. "I need protection for my mother, my wife, and my kids. Right now. Don't ask questions, just make it happen." But even as he made those calls, LeBron knew he was trapped. Marcus had had 16 years to plan this. 16 years to gather evidence. 16 years to figure out exactly how to destroy him. And the worst part, Marcus was right about the money. Every endorsement deal, every championship bonus, every investment opportunity, all of it had been built on the foundation that Marcus provided. Without that monthly envelope, LeBron's mother might never have been able to afford the gas money to drive him to AAU tournaments. Without that stability, he might never have been able to focus entirely on basketball. Marcus Williams had literally invested in LeBron's future, and now he was calling in that investment. The meeting was set for 3 p.m. at the old outdoor basketball court on South Main Street in Akron, the same court where LeBron had played pickup games as a kid, the same court where Marcus had first watched him play and recognized his potential. How poetic, how cruel. LeBron had 12 hours to decide: pay Marcus and become his puppet forever, or refuse and watch everything he'd built get destroyed. But LeBron James hadn't become the king by backing down from impossible situations. What you're about to learn will blow your mind. At 2:30 p.m., LeBron James drove through the streets of Akron in a rented Honda Civic. He'd left his usual convoy of security and luxury cars behind. This was something he had to face alone. The outdoor court on South Main Street looked exactly the same as it had 16 years ago. Same cracked concrete, same chain nets that had seen better days, same graffiti on the backboard, but everything felt different now, heavier, like the weight of the past was pressing down on his shoulders. Marcus Williams was already there, sitting on the same bench where he used to watch LeBron play. He looked older, grayer, but his eyes still had that same calculating intelligence that had made him a successful drug dealer for 2 decades. "You came alone," Marcus said as LeBron approached. "Smart move. Let's get this over with. Hold on now, young king. We got 16 years to catch up on. You know how proud I am of you. 4-time MVP, 3-time champion now, Olympic gold medals, business empire. You exceeded even my wildest expectations." LeBron sat down on the opposite end of the bench, as far from Marcus as possible, while still being able to talk. "Cut the crap, Marcus. What do you really want?" Marcus pulled out a tablet and showed LeBron a presentation. Photos, documents, bank records, phone recordings, 16 years worth of evidence documenting every payment, every connection between Marcus's drug operation and the money that had supported LeBron's rise. "This is what I want you to understand," Marcus said, swiping through the slides. "I didn't just give you money, LeBron. I gave you opportunity. I gave you stability. I gave you the foundation that everything else was built on. You were a drug dealer who murdered 3 people. I was a businessman who defended himself against armed robbers, and I was smart enough to invest in the right kid." The slides kept coming. Pictures of LeBron at various stages of his career, always with annotations showing how Marcus's money had made each step possible. The private trainers, the AAU tournaments, the recruiting camps, even LeBron's first car. "Here's what's going to happen," Marcus continued. "You're going to pay me $50 million, not $5 million. 50. That's roughly 10% of your current net worth, which seems like a fair return on my investment." LeBron's jaw dropped. 50 million. And then, every year for the rest of your career, you're going to pay me 10% of your annual income. Think of it as a lifetime achievement award. You're insane. Am I? Let's do the math, young king. You're 31 years old. You probably got at least 5 more years of elite play left in you. Maybe more if you're lucky. That's 5 more years of max contracts, 5 more years of endorsement deals, 5 more years of business opportunities. But if this information goes public, all of that disappears overnight. Nike drops you. The Cavaliers trade you. Every business partner runs for the hills. You become a pariah. A cautionary tale about how fame and fortune can't wash away the sins of the past. LeBron stared at the court where he'd first fallen in love with basketball, where he'd dreamed of making it to the NBA, where he'd imagined becoming a champion. None of those dreams had included being blackmailed by a ghost from his past. And if I pay you, how do I know this ends here? Marcus smiled. You don't, but here's the thing about leverage, young king. I only need to use it once to prove I'm serious. After that, the threat of using it again is just as powerful as actually using it. That's when LeBron realized something that changed everything about this conversation. You're not prepared for what LeBron did next. LeBron James had not become the most powerful athlete in the world by being passive. He hadn't conquered the NBA by backing down from challenges, and he sure as hell wasn't going to let some ghost from his past dictate the rest of his life. Marcus, he said quietly, before we go any further, I need to tell you something. What's that? LeBron opened his jacket and showed Marcus the small recording device clipped to his shirt. This entire conversation is being recorded and transmitted live to the FBI. Marcus's face went white. What the hell are you talking about? I called them this morning, told them everything. About that night in 2000, about the payments, about your death being faked, about the blackmail attempt. They've been listening to every word. You're lying. LeBron pulled out his phone and showed Marcus the active call. The name on the screen read, Agent Sarah Chen, FBI Financial Crimes Division. Agent Chen, did you get all that? A woman's voice came through the phone's speaker. We got it all, Mr. James. Mr. Williams, you're under arrest for extortion, money laundering, and accessory to murder after the fact. That's when the unmarked cars started pulling up around the basketball court. FBI agents in bulletproof vests emerging from every direction, surrounding the bench where Marcus and LeBron were sitting. Marcus looked at LeBron with a mixture of rage and admiration. When did you figure it out? Figure what out? That I wasn't going to stop with 50 million, that this was just the beginning. LeBron stood up as the FBI agents approached. I figured it out the moment you threatened my family. That's when I knew you'd never stop, so I decided to stop you first. Agent Chen approached the bench with handcuffs ready. Marcus Williams, you're under arrest. As they cuffed Marcus and read him his rights, he looked up at LeBron one last time. You know this means everyone's going to find out about that night, right? About the drug money, about all of it. LeBron nodded. I know, but I'd rather face the truth than live under your thumb for the rest of my life. But the story wasn't over yet. The biggest shock was still coming. 2 hours later, LeBron was sitting in FBI headquarters in Cleveland, giving his full statement about everything that had happened 16 years ago. Agent Chen was across from him, along with 2 other federal investigators and LeBron's attorney. Mr. James, Agent Chen said, I need you to understand something. This case is bigger than just Marcus Williams extorting you. What do you mean? We've been tracking Marcus Williams for 3 years. He's been running one of the largest drug distribution networks in the Midwest. That fake death in 2000? It allowed him to operate completely under the radar, while his lieutenants handled the street-level operations. She opened a file folder and spread photographs across the table. Pictures of Marcus with various known criminals, surveillance photos from different cities, bank records showing millions of dollars in transactions. The money he was sending you wasn't just from that one drug operation in Akron. It was coming from a criminal enterprise that spans 5 states and generates over $100 million a year in revenue. LeBron felt sick. So every dollar he sent came from drugs, weapons trafficking, human trafficking, and money laundering. Mr. James, your cooperation has helped us take down one of the most dangerous criminal organizations in the country. Agent Chen pulled out another photograph. This one showed a warehouse in Detroit, with dozens of people in handcuffs being led away by federal agents. 12 hours ago, we conducted simultaneous raids in Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago, and Indianapolis. 37 arrests. We seized over $20 million in cash, 1,500 kilograms of various illegal drugs, and enough evidence to put Marcus Williams and his entire organization away for life. But what about me? What about the money I took? Mr. James, you were 15 years old when this started. You were a victim, not a criminal, and your decision to come forward and cooperate with our investigation shows tremendous courage. Agent Chen leaned forward. But I won't lie to you. This story is going to become public. We can't prosecute Marcus Williams without revealing how we caught him. Your name is going to be in the news. LeBron nodded. He'd expected as much. How bad is it going to be? That depends on how you handle it. 3 weeks later, LeBron James held a press conference at the Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, the same arena where he'd won his championship just a month earlier. But this time, he wasn't there to celebrate. He was there to tell the truth. When I was 15 years old, he began, looking directly into the cameras, I witnessed something that changed my life forever. For 16 years, I've carried the weight of that night with me. The guilt, the fear, the shame. And for 16 years, I've wondered if my success was really my own, or if it was built on blood money. The press conference lasted 45 minutes. LeBron told the entire story, holding nothing back. The crime scene, the fake death, the monthly payments, the blackmail attempt, his decision to cooperate with the FBI. When he finished, the room was silent for what felt like an eternity. Then the first question came. LeBron, do you regret taking that money? Every day for 16 years. But I was a kid, and I was scared, and I made the best decisions I could with the information I had. The real question is, what do we do now? The answer to that question came in the form of the LeBron James Foundation for Victims of Crime. Within 6 months, LeBron had donated $50 million, roughly the amount Marcus had demanded, to organizations that support families affected by drug violence. I can't change the past, he said at the foundation's launch event, but I can use my platform to make sure other kids don't have to go through what I went through. The public response was not what anyone expected. Instead of condemnation, there was overwhelming support. Instead of sponsors fleeing, new ones lined up. Instead of losing respect, LeBron gained even more, because the real story wasn't about a basketball player who took drug money as a teenager. The real story was about a man who had the courage to face his past, tell the truth, and use his mistakes to help others. Marcus Williams was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. His criminal organization was dismantled. The flow of drugs through the Midwest was significantly disrupted, and LeBron James, he won 2 more championships, became the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, and was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame with a speech that began with these words, "Basketball didn't save my life, truth did." But perhaps the most important moment came 3 years after that press conference, when LeBron was visiting a youth center in Akron, and a 15-year-old kid approached him. "Mr. James," the kid said, "I heard about what happened to you when you were my age. I'm in a similar situation right now. What should I do?" LeBron looked at this kid, scared, confused, carrying secrets that were too heavy for his young shoulders, and he knew exactly what to say. Tell the truth, no matter how scary it seems, no matter what you think you might lose, because the only thing worse than facing the consequences of the truth is living under the weight of a lie. The kid nodded and walked away. 3 days later, he came forward with information that helped police break up a drug ring operating near his school. That's when LeBron realized something profound. His championship rings would eventually tarnish, his records would eventually be broken, his fame would eventually fade, but the truth would last forever, and sometimes, the truth is the only thing that can set you free. LeBron James didn't become a legend because he was perfect. He became a legend because when he was imperfect, he had the courage to face it, own it, and use it to make the world a little bit better, and that's the real championship, the one that matters most, the one that can never be taken away. LeBron James, not just a basketball player, a human being who chose truth over comfort,